Shivananda Lahiri, Shloka number 61. Ankolam nijabijasantatiरयस्कान्तोपलं सूचिका साध्वी नैज विभुं लताक्षितिरुहं सिन्धुः सरिद्वल्लभम् प्राप्नोति ह यथा तथा पशुपतेः पादारविन्दद्वयं चेतो वृत्तिरुपेत्य तिष्ठति सदा सा भक्तिरित्युच्यते. अन्वय. निजबीजसन्ततिः अंकोलं यथा प्राप्नोति सूचिका अयस्कान्तोपलं यथा प्राप्नोति साध्वी नैज विभुं यथा प्राप्नोति लता क्षितिरुहं यथा प्राप्नोति सिन्धुः सरित्वल्लभम् इह यथा प्राप्नोति तथा चेतो वृत्तिः पशुपतेः पादारविन्दद्वयम् उपेत्य सदा तिष्ठति सा भक्तिः उच्यते. In many of the previous verses, different methods of worshipping Parameshwara was described. All those forms of worship will become more meaningful only when they are performed with devotion, bhakti. Now, what is the form of this devotion? How should it be? How can one understand the nature of devotion? Are some of the questions that would arise, and this is described in this verse by Sri Shankara Bhagavad Pada. Shankara gives beautiful examples. Nijabija santatihi, a bunch of its own seeds. Ankolam is the name of a tree. That Ankola tree, yatha, how, that is, in which way, by itself, prapnoti, it reaches. Here, the significance of this Ankolam tree is that when the seeds mature and they fall off from the tree to the ground, they somehow come back to the roots of the tree and they sprout again near the source tree itself. That is, they come without any human help or nourishment. The seeds reach the base tree and they sprout over there. The words yatha prapnoti must be connected to every illustration given in this verse. Then the next example is suchika, a thin needle made of iron. Ayaskantopalam, to the magnetic stone. Yatha prapnoti, automatically how it is attracted to. Sadhvi, a chaste woman. Naija vibhum, her husband. Yatha prapnoti, naturally how she approaches him. Lata, a creeper. Kshitiruham, towards the tree. Yatha prapnoti, how it is drawn and it coils itself around the tree by itself for support. Now, the point to note in all these examples is these attractions happen naturally without any external source causing it to happen. Similarly, the next example, Sindhuhu, the river, Sarit Vallabham. Sarit means river, Vallabham means lord of. So, Sarit Vallabham means the sea. Iha, in this world, Yatha Prapnoti, how it seeks and reaches. That is, just like the river flows and flows until it finds its level with the ocean. Tatha, like that, or in the same way, Cheto Vrittihi, the thoughts of our mind, Pashupatehe, of Lord Shiva, Padara Vindadvayam, his lotus feet. Here again, Pashupati is the Lord who destroys the Ajnana in us and leads us on the path to Jnanam. Such a Pashupati's lotus feet, Upetya, the thoughts of our mind having naturally and voluntarily reached, sada, always, tishtati, when it remains there, then such a expression, sa, that natural behavior, bhaktihi, is said to be devotion. That is, affection exclusively expressed for the Lord Paramashiva. Such a sentiment, seeking oneness, sayujyam with Paramashiva, is uchyate, said to be bhaktihi. In this shloka, expressions of the sentiment of devotion, bhaktihi, is described by giving 5 examples. Of these, the first 4 imply Dvaita Bhava, a nature of duality expressed, which means we will perceive 2 objects. Ankolam, that tree, and its seed are 2 objects, one seeking the other. Although the seed naturally seeks the Ankola tree, still we can see the tree and the seed separate. Similarly, an iron needle seeking the magnet, there are 2 different objects perceived. Same way, a chaste woman seeking the company of her husband. Here again, 2 separate people are perceived. Similarly, a creeper finding support in a tree are obviously 2 different objects. In all these 4, very clearly, 2 separate objects are understood. The significance here is each example is more distinct than the previous one in the nature and extent of the closeness in seeking. That is, the Ankola tree and its seeds sprouting close by are near to each other. They are next to each other. Then the iron needle and the magnet are also near, but here one is sticking to the other. Then more closeness is implied in the chaste woman who is with her husband. Much more closeness, samipya, is perceived in the creeper which is coiled around a tree. Then, with some deliberation, the subtle difference in the closeness described in these 4 examples can be sensed. Thus, in all these, some duality is known. But the last example is the most distinct, in that the river merging with the sea is very significant. Sindhuhu Saritvallabham implies Advaita Bhava. That is, a sense of oneness comes to the fore. When rivers join the sea waters, they lose their form and name. In other words, the closeness on the river merging with the sea is such that there is no more river, only the sea water remains. It appears like there were never 2 water bodies. Such is the greatness in this meeting of the river water with the sea. Upanishad words describe this as Yatha Nadyah Syandamanaha Samudre Astangachanti Namarupe Vihaya. How the rivers keep flowing and flowing until they set like sunset, merging and becoming one with the sea water, losing their name and form. This is Advaita Bhava, the nature of non-duality or nature of oneness. Bhakti is an action taking place in the mind when there is Dvaita Bhava. Bhakti is a means leading to a prepared mind which will gain oneness with Parameshwara. Now, Dvaita to Advaita happens in different levels or different stages, and Bhakti is one such stage. This is mentioned in Viveka Chudamani by Sri Shankara Bhagavatpada as Moksha Karana Samagriya Bhaktireva Gariyasi. Among the means to attain moksha, bhakti is the very distinct stage. Then, what is the nature of that bhakti is answered in the same shloka in its second half as Swaswarupānusandhānam bhaktirityabhidhīyate. Swaswarupa anusandhanam. reflecting on one's own nature of existence. In other words, self inquiry on the truth that my nature and Parameshwara are one and the same. Repeatedly contemplating on this kind of a thought is described as bhakti, the sentiment of devotion. Another quote from Narada Bhakti Sutra is Sa Tasmin Parama Prema Rupa, for whom there is devotion, having unconditional affection for them. Such is the nature of bhakti. In Shandilya Bhakti Sutra, it has been said, Sa para anuraktihi Ishware. Ishware para anuraktihi. Sa bhaktihi. That is, ultimate form of affection centered on Ishvara causes the person not to seek anything else. That is bhakti. Another description is Kshanamapi Bhagavad Viyoga Asahishnutvam Bhaktihi. Even for one moment, I cannot bear to be separated from Ishvara. Such a deep feeling for Ishvara is Bhaktihi. This kind of devotion, Bhaktihi, is a very conducive means to attaining moksha. The means to moksha has been classified into three pathways, that is Jnana Marga, Karma Marga and Bhakti Marga. Of these, Jnana Marga is not very easy to be followed by all. So, a very evolved intellect and matured reasoning is required to tread this path, Jnana Marga. Then Karma Marga is described as doing one's own duty because it is to be done, with no personal desire to be fulfilled. This is also a means to attaining moksha. The third one, Bhakti Marga, can be easily travelled by all. Following this path will also lead to moksha, called Sayujyam, oneness with Ishvara. The qualification to travel this path, Bhakti Marga, and gain Sayujyam is a Nirmala Manas, a pure mind. In the devotees, devotion is seen to manifest in 5 forms. Shantam, that is a tranquil disposition or a spiritual mindset. Dasya Bhavam, a disposition in which one enjoys serving Ishvara. Then Sakhya Bhavam, looking upon Ishvara as a very close friend. Vatsalya Bhavam, interacting with Ishvara as though he is one's own child. Madhura Bhavam, a compassionate, pleasant expression all the time as though Bhagavan is one's beloved. These 5 types of feelings manifest in 9 ways. The 9 ways, Navada Bhaktihi, are mentioned as Shravanam, Kirtanam Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. Shravanam, enjoying, listening to glories of Paramatma, is Shravana Bhaktihi. Then Kirtanam, after listening to the glories of Paramatma for a length of time, wanting to tell and talk about Paramatma is Kirtanam. Then, as one continues to talk about Paramatma, one tends to think of Paramatma all the time and remember him all the time. This is Smarana. The next level is, as one keeps thinking of Bhagavan all the time, one will start doing puja, offer many things and do namaskara. This is Pada Sevanam. Then one will get committed to offering worship with flowers, etc. all the time. That is Archanam. Subsequently, the devotee will surrender and do namaskara to Bhagavan. This is Vandanam. Then the devotee will desire to remain very close to Bhagavan by serving him all the time like a servant, giving Bhagavan all that he may need as a great Lord. This is Dasyam. Further to this, a feeling of intimacy arises and the devotee behaves like a best friend. That is Sakhyam. The highest level of bhakti is desiring to offer one's self to Bhagavan and gaining the vision of non-separateness from Bhagavan. This is Atma Nivedanam Advaita Bhava Bhakti. So, in the first 8 levels, to a certain extent, there will be some Dvaita Bhava, separateness. But in the last stage, Atma Nivedanam, one merges one's self in Bhagavan, which means starting as external offerings to Bhagavan, Kayikam Karma, devotion evolves to the next stage of singing his glories and rejoicing, talking about him, which is Vachikam Karma, and finally devotion matures into a more subtle form of mental expressions as all the thoughts being centered on Bhagavan, which is Manasikam Karma. This culminates in offering and surrendering everything to that Ishvara, Atma Nivedanam, and then finally envisioning him as one's own self. This is Advaita Bhava. This has been mentioned by Krishna Paramatma in Bhagavad Gita as Anapekshah Shuchirdakshah Udasinah Gatavyatah Sarvarambha Parityagi Yome Bhaktas Same Priyah. The devotee who is without expectations, is pure internally and externally, is forbearing, unbiased, free from sorrows, free from ego and ownership over every action performed, is the most loved by me, the Paramatma. Such form of bhakti will undoubtedly bestow the devotee with Paramatma's grace. Explanation for this verse is concluded here. Shivananda Lahiri, shloka number 62. आनन्दाश्रुभिरातनोति पुलकं नैर्मल्यतश्छादनं वाचा शङ्खमुखे स्थितैश्च जठरापूर्तिं चरित्रामृतैः रुद्राक्षैर्भसितेन देव वपुषो रक्षां भवद्भावना पर्यङ्के विनिवेश्य भक्तिजननी भक्तार्भकं रक्षति. अन्वय देव भक्ति जननी भक्तार्भकम आनंदाश्रुभिः पुलकम आतनोति नैर्मल्यतः छादनं वाचा शंखमुखे स्थितैः चरित्रामृतैः जठरापूर्तिम् आतनोति रुद्राक्षैः भसितेन च वपुषः रक्षाम् आतनोति भवद्भावना पर्यंके विनिवेश्य rakshati. After having described the nature of bhakti, devotion to Parameshwara, with beautiful illustrations in the previous verse, Sri Shankara is now describing bhakti, devotion as a loving mother. And the devotee is described as the newborn child. And then he says how this mother cares for the child. Deva, O Paramatma, the self-effulgent one, Bhakti Janani, the devotion towards Paramatma is the mother. Such a Bhakti Janani, Bhaktarbhakam, the infant called devotee. Here Arbhaka means a just born infant. Anandashrubhihi, on seeing her infant, the newborn, the mother with tears of joy, Pulakam causes horripilations. That is, when the mother's eyes shed tears of joy, some teardrops fall on the infant, causing horripilations in its body. In other words, in this context, devotion to Paramatma causes tears of joy to flow, and further it creates horripilation in the devotee's body. So, pulakam atanoti means brings about horripilation. Nairmalyataha, then with devotion, the pure mind expressed by the innocence in the infant. Chadanam, to protect the infant from cold weather, etc., the mother wraps the infant with clothes. Then, Vacha Shankha Mukhe, with words spoken, that is, the words spoken by the mother are compared to the tip of the conch, sthitaihi, existing, charitramritaihi, stories about Paramatma's glories, is called as amrita over here, nectar, and the implied meaning is milk. With such milk, Jatara Purtim, filling the stomach to satiate hunger, Atanoti, the mother causes to do. In earlier times, an infant would be fed with milk by a conch, just as a mother would fill a conch with milk and feed the infant through the narrow portion of the conch. Similarly, mother devotion feeds the devotee with nectarine stories about Paramatma, thus satiating his hunger. Then Rudrakshaihi, with beads of Rudraksha, Bhasitena cha, and with sacred ash, Vapushaha, the body, Raksham, is protected, Atanoti, this is done by her. Bhavat Bhavana Paryanke, and then contemplation on Parameshwara, that is, thoughts about Parameshwara all the time in the mind, is compared to the cot. Viniveshya, placing the infant in this cot. Rakshati, the mother looks after and protects the baby. In this verse, describing Bhakti as mother and Bhaktaha, devotee, as an infant, a just born, how the mother, overflowing with affection, protects and cares for the child, the devotee, is explained metaphorically. How a happy mother causes horripilations in the baby, similarly, a devotee gets horripilations upon contemplating on Parameshwara. Just as the mother wraps the infant with innocence, devotion makes the devotee's mind very pure. Moreover, with words of conch, she feeds stories of Parameshwara as milk to the infant devotee, filling his hungry stomach. The sense denoted here is the conch tip is narrowed like a spoon, so it is very appropriate to be used to feed the infant. Then a devotee listening to glories of Parameshwara fills his stomach and satiates his hunger to know about Parameshwara. To protect the baby, usually tiny sanctified metal object is tied to its body. Similarly, this mother called devotion protects her devotee with Rudraksha beads and by smearing sacred ashes on the devotee's body. In other words, a devotee protects himself by wearing Rudraksha chain and applying sacred ashes on his body. In the end, the mother places the baby to sleep peacefully on the cot of Paramashiva contemplation. Similarly, a devotee finds tranquility, peace, and bliss in Shiva Dhyana. No one can care for an infant more than its own mother. Similarly, when there is pure devotion, it will protect the devotee. And this is the essential meaning of this verse. With this, explanation for this verse is concluded. Shivananda Lahiri, Shloka number 63. मार्गावर्तितपादुका पशुपतेः अङ्गस्य कूर्चायते गण्डूशाम्बुनिषेचनं पुररिपोः दिव्याभिषेकायते किञ्चिद् भक्षितमांसशेषकबलं नव्योपहारायते भक्तिः किं न करोत्यहो वनचरो भक्तावतंसायते। अन्वय पशुपतेः अङ्गस्य मार्गावर्तितपादुका कूर्चायते पुररिपोः गण्डूशाम्बुनिषेचनं दिव्याभिषेकायते किञ्चित् भक्षितमांसशेषकबलं नव्य उपहारायते अहो वनचरः भक्तावतंसायते भक्तिः किं न करोति. Illustrating bhakti as a mother, Sri Shankara Bhagavad-pada described how it cares for and protects the devotee. In this verse, he further describes the greatness of bhakti and says to what significant heights bhakti can lift up a devotee. Pashupatehe, that is of Parameshwara, the Lord who protects all the beings, Angasya, his body, Margavartita Paduka, the slippers which have been very extensively used for walking on the roads, Kurchayate. Kurcha means the part of hair between the eyebrows, that is, it is the central portion. Then Puraripoho, to the body of the enemy of Tripurasura, Gandu Shambu Nishechanam, the water spat from the mouth after gargling. Divyabhishekayate is like as though it is the Abhisheka performed with the sacred Ganga waters. Kinchit bhakshita mamsa sesha kabalam. Kinchit, little bit, bhakshita, of the eaten, mamsa, meat, sesha, leftover, that kabalam, piece of, that is a piece of the meat left over after that which was eaten the previous day or earlier. Navya upaharayate, the freshly prepared food to be offered to Parameshwara, that is like fresh Naivedya Padartha. Aho, a wonder indeed it is, Vanacharaha, that the hunter who lives in the forest, Bhaktavatamsayate, also becomes the greatest one among the great devotees. So, bhakti, that sentiment of pure devotion, kim, what only, na karoti, does it not do? That is, it will do everything. In this verse, the allusion in a very subtle way is to the story of the hunter Kannappa. In the sacred place known as Kalahasti, in the forest area, there was a hunter named Kannappa. In the forest, there was a lingam, and to that lingam, every day with great devotion, very sincerely, Kannappa used to do Abhisheka, Naivedya, and all the other offerings and do puja. One day, when he came to do puja, he saw that from the eyes of the lingam, blood was oozing out. He thought Lord Shiva had some eye problem and that's the reason for the blood oozing out. So he pulled out one of his own eyes to replace the bleeding eye on Lord Shiva's image. Then when he wanted to pull out his second eye and place it on the image, he paused and thought that his vision will be lost, so how can he find the right spot of the eye on the image? So to mark that spot, he took out his worn out slippers and placed it near the eyebrows, thus marking where he has to correctly place his own eyes. Then he plucked out his second eye and fixed it on Lord Shivalinga. In this way, He took care of Lord Shiva's bleeding eyes, replacing it with his own. This act, performed in complete devotion, made him the greatest of all devotees, and this is narrated in the Shiva Purana. His devotion is praised as the greatest because his affectionate feeling for Lord Shiva was such that he could not bear to see the Lord in pain, and he did not think twice as to whether it is appropriate to place the worn out slippers on the Lord or not. The method of worship he followed was also very wild. He had no idea about the norms and etiquette of performing puja. He used to fill his mouth with water and spit it on the Shivalinga with the intention of doing abhisheka. Then he would use his slipper itself like a dusting brush to clean the linga. He would then offer to the Lord the leftover pieces of meat after having eaten it. Although his form of worship was like this, he had no guilt feelings like, I am doing what should not be done, oh, what might Ishvara think, etc. On the other hand, he felt very content and satisfied with his method of worship. That's why he felt also so very close to Shiva that without any second thought, he plucked out his own eyes and placed it on Lord Shiva's image. That's why Kannappa's devotion is praised and it has found a place in Shiva Purana itself. In this narration, the affectionate mental disposition and pure devotion is to be understood and noted. The other descriptions are only fillers and secondary. There is a saying, Bhavagrahi Janardanaha, which means the attitude, clarity, and purity of intention while offering puja is the basis for obtaining blessings from Parameshwara. Explanation for this verse is concluded here. Shivananda Lahiri, Shloka number 64. वक्षस्ताडनमन्तकस्य कठिनापस्मारसम्मर्दनं भूभृत्पर्यटनं नमत्सुरशिरः कोटीरसङ्घर्षणम् कर्मेदं मृदुलस्य तावकपदद्वन्द्वस्य किं वोचितं मच्चेतो मणिपादुकाविहरणं शम्भो सदाङ्गीकुरु. अन्वय अन्तकस्य वक्षस्ताडनं कठिन अपस्मारसम्मर्दनं भूभृत्पर्यटनं नमत्सुरशिरःकोटीरसङ्घर्षणं हे शम्भो इदं कर्म मृदुलस्य तावकपदद्वन्द्वस्य उचितं किं वा मच्चेतोमणिपादुकाविहरणं सदा अंगीकुरु. Praising Bhakti, Sri Shankara Bhagavad Pada described the greatness and significance of devotion. He said, devotion cares and protects the devotee, and there is nothing that devotion cannot achieve. Then, in this verse, he prays to Paramashiva that the Lord should not subject his tender feet to roughness and difficulties. So, Sri Bhagavad Pada requests the Lord to use his mind as footwear. Antakasya of Lord Yama, the Lord of Death. Vakshasthadanam, the act of beating or hitting the chest. Kathina apasmara sammardhanam, the trampling. Sammardhanam means trampling on the hard, terrible Rakshasa named Apasmara. Then Bhubhrit Paryatanam. Bhubhrit is mountains. roaming around the mountains of Kailasa. Namat Sura Shirah Kotira Sangharshanam. Namat means the devatas who bow down to offer namaskara to you. Sura is the devatas. Shiraha on their head. Kotira Sangharshanam is the crowns which they are adorning. Sangharshanam is the rubbing of their crown with the feet. That is, when the devatas bow down to offer namaskara to you, Lord, the crown which they are wearing, that touches your feet and there is friction by the rubbing. Then, Hey Shambho, O Lord, you the giver of only happiness, idam karma, these actions mentioned above, mridulasya, that which is extremely soft, tavaka padadvandvasya, that your 2 feet, uchitam kimva, is this appropriate? That is, your feet are very tender in nature. Using such soft, tender feet to hit the chest of Yama, to trample on the Rakshasa Apasmara, to wander about in the foresty area on the mountains, then to let the feet be injured due to friction by rubbing against the crowns of the devatas who do namaskara to you. All these acts are injuring your feet. So, mat cheto mani paduka viharanam. This, my mind, mat chetaha, are the sandals or footwear, paduka, made with beautiful gems, mani. Please wear this and then viharanam, roam around or wander here and there. Sada, always. Angi kuru, please accept this. The actions mentioned till now, that is hitting, trampling, friction, wandering about, etc., engaging in all these causes pain and injury to the soft, tender feet. In order to prevent such injury to the tender feet, O Shiva, I am offering the sandals made of gems, which is my mind. Please adorn these sandals, known as my mind. This is a sincere prayer to you. That is, please accept this prayer and protect me. Which means, as a devotee, Sri Shankara is humbly praying to Lord Shiva that he should always remain and wander in the mind. In other words, the Lord with his soft feet stamps on the stone-like Rakshasas who trouble the devotees. Then he wanders everywhere in the world, walks on hard mountains, etc., barefooted. Because these actions cause injury to the Lord's tender feet, as a sincere seeker with pure devotion, Sri Shankara offers his own mind as footwear, praying that the Lord should stay with him all the time. Explanation for this verse is concluded here. Shivananda Lahiri, verse number 65. वक्षस्ताडनशङ्कया विचलितो वैवस्वतो निर्जराः कोटीरोज्ज्वलरत्नदीपकलिका नीराजनं कुर्वते दृष्ट्वा मुक्तिवधूस्तनोति निभृताश्लेषं भवानीपते यच्चेतस्तव पादपद्मभजनं तस्येह किं दुर्लभम्. अन्वया. भवानीपते यच्चेतः तव पादपद्मभजनं दृष्ट्वा वैवस्वतः वक्षस्ताडनशङ्कया विचलितः निर्जराः कोटीरोज्ज्वलरत्नदीपकलिका नीराजनं कुर्वते मुक्तिवधूः निभृताश्लेषं तनोति तस्य इह किं दुर्लभम्. in the previous verse, having offered his own mind as the protective footwear for the tender, soft lotus feet of Lord Shiva, Sri Shankara Bhagavatpada now in this verse describes that nothing is difficult to be achieved by the devotee whose mind is always committed to thinking of Lord Shiva's lotus feet. So Shankara addresses the Lord here as He Bhavani Pate, O Parameshwara, the husband of Parvati, Yat Chetaha, the devotee whose mind is engrossed, Tava, in your Pada Padma Bhajanam, worshipping the lotus feet all the time, Drishtva, on seeing that, Vaivasvataha, Yama, the Lord of Death, Vakshastadana Shankaya, he who was hit in his chest by Lord Shiva because of the crude behavior towards a devotee of Shiva, now he is reminiscing that incident and then he's thinking that the same thing may happen again. So, Yama Vichalitaha runs away. That is, Yama doesn't come anywhere near Shiva Bhaktas. Then, Nirjaraha, the Devatas who do not have old age. That is, Jara means old age. Those who are not subject to the change called old age, they are Devatas. So, Nirjaraha is a synonym to Devatas. Kotirojwala Ratna Deepa Kalika Neerajanam. Kotira means kirita or crowns. They are Ujjwala means very bright because of the Ratna, gems studded on them. This brilliance emitted by the gems on the crown is the Deepa, lamp, and Kalika means flag. So, raising the lamp like a flag. Such a Neerajanam. Neerajanam is waving a camphor light, Arati. Kurvate, the Devatas do. Which means a devotee of Lord Shiva is honored by all the Devatas also. Further, Mukti Vadhuhu, the lady called Mukti, that is liberation, to that devotee, what she does is Nibhrita Slesham. Nibhrita is tightly, Aslesha means embracing, that is firmly embracing, Tanoti, she does. In other words, Mukti gives a firm embrace to the devotee. That is, the devotee will gain moksha is the meaning. Tasya, to such a devotee, iha, in this world, kim durlabham, what is difficult to be attained, means everything will be gained very easily. The devotee whose mind is surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Shiva gains everything easily. One whose mind is always engaged in meditating on Lord Shiva with utmost devotion, even Yama runs far away from him. He doesn't dare to come anywhere near such a devotee. Further, such devotees are also honored even by the Devatas who, adorning their crown, they bow down in a gesture of showing Arati. Not only that, the damsels called Mukti, they also embrace such devotees, which means moksha is definitely in the purview of such devotees of Lord Shiva. To such a dedicated devotee of you, O Lord Shiva, what only will be difficult in this world? Everything is easily within reach. This is the essential meaning of the verse. In this verse, there is a narration. Born in the family of Bhrigu was a Muni named Mrikandu. He did not have a child for a very long time. So, he, with his wife, did very severe penance, meditating on Lord Shiva. Then Lord Shiva appeared and blessed the couple, fulfilling their wish, but on a condition that if they wanted a noble son, then he would live for 16 years only, or if they wished for an ordinary son, he would have a very long life. The Muni Mrikandu wished for the noble son even though he would be short lived. As a result, Markandeya was born as their son. He grew up well and completed his studies by the age of 15. Now, his parents became very sad at the thought of losing him in 1 year. Seeing this, Markandeya assured his parents that he will definitely earn a longer lifespan and return. Saying so, he went to the forests to do penance. So, he had asked his parents not to worry. Now, in the forest, he made a linga with mud and spent the rest of his lifespan doing puja to that linga. Then, when he reached the 16th birthday, Yama came himself without sending his attendants to take the life of Markandeya. On seeing Yama, Markandeya goes and hugs the linga. Yet Yama throws the noose of death on him. Lord Shiva appears in person and kicks Yama on his chest, saying, "How could you dare to throw your noose on my devotee?" Iti. Frightened by this act of Lord Shiva, Yama is said to have ran away. Since then, it is popularly said that Yama will not dare to touch the devotees of Lord Shiva. He will run away. This story is implied by the words Vaivasvataha Vichalitaha Vakshastadana Shankaya in this verse. When Markandeya used to worship Lord Shiva, from him came into being the Mahamrityunjaya mantram. Trambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanat mrityor mukshiya mamritat. It is said that this is the mantra Markandeya used to pray with for 1 year, after which he was blessed by Lord Shiva. Since then, this mantra became very significant. As a result of chanting this mantram, Markandeya was blessed by Lord Shiva with long life. Scholars say that the linga worshipped by Markandeya is still today present in Varanasi, known by the name of Mrityunjaya Mahadeva Mandira. Thus came the belief that Yama does not come anywhere near the devotees of Lord Shiva. Explanation for this verse is concluded here.